All right, so that's the spells. What we want to do now is create a function which generates moves for the player to do. Right? Every time a player is ready to go, player has to pick a spell. In order to pick a spell, he's got to know, or she's got to know, what spells are available. So moves, self, and it's going to return a vector spell. And so all we're going to do is loop through over all the spells. For spell in spells. Do I have to do that, or can it do it like that? What we do is say if spell.cost is less than or equal to self.mana, let result is equal to vec new, result.push spell.clone, semicolon, and then this just goes results. Oh, I should have written a test for it. Tests can find spells to cast. And if we do this, we should be able to, we have 250 points, we should be able to cast any and all spells. All 5 of them should be in there. So if I say let list is equal to state moves, we can insert EQ, that list len is 5. It should be all of them. That passes. Okay, good. If we only have, let's say all, and then we can do it this way. Can find only 2 spells. And so if we only have, instead of 250 mana, we have 74 mana. Let's do 73 to make it exact. And we should only have 2 spells that we can cast. And I'm not putting code in here, assuming these are the right ones. Because they could come in any order, technically. Because I'm not actually doing anything outside of test mode. Okay, good. That's fine. So we can now cast a spell. We can now find all of our moves, and I think we have enough to maybe write a backtracking algorithm. And all we're trying to do is find the lowest. Oh, that means we have to keep track of the lowest, right? What's the least amount of mana you can spend and still win the fight? So the game state has to have a running tally of how much mana spent. Which means we have to do this here, spent 0. And where else do we create? Here we go. Spent. At the start of the turn, we're not spending mana, so it's just going to be self-spent. And then cast, it's a new game state, so we actually have to put the cost in here. Spent is going to be self-spent plus self-cost. And I should have written a test first, and I didn't. But all the tests should pass. Oops. There's probably an extra state I missed. Oh, spell cost. There we go. I can add that here, right? For casting drain, I can assert that the spell assert EQ state dot spent is equal to spells of 0 dot cost, the dot, and here is just spells of 1 dot cost, and that failed. Oh, good. I'm glad I tested it. Oh, next state. Let me put this down here so they're all the next states are together. Okay, good. So how does backtracking work? Let me see if I can dredge up my AP computer science knowledge from days of yore. Best move or best sequence or cheapest? Best win. There we go. Cheapest win. And we're going to start with a current game state, and then we're going to find the cheapest win, and that's going to return a self, which is going to be the cheapest win. So how does backtracking work? We start with get list of moves. For each move, I'm doing this as sort of a Python pseudocode here. We want to say, and this list of moves is valid moves, right? Oops. There we go. For each move, we want to say we can make the move. So we created a new game state now with that move made. If player wins, then we want to check the cost. If total spent is less than best so far, then we save it. State. If the player has not won, else, then we want to recurse. Call cheapest win. With the current state. New state, cheapest win. Right? And then we use that. So we get the cheapest win for the next state down. So that recurses our thing. So we should have a way to slowly trim this, right? Trim this list. So we want to have like a best so far that gets passed in. But let's save that for later. And this will return the best it can find. And so we can say, is this, if the spent cheapest, if cheapest spent, this is move.spent, so it's a different spent. This is the current move that we're making. This is the cheapest we found. If cheapest.spent is less than best so far, then save the state. Oops. I think that's it. Oh, we do have to check boss win condition, right? Else if boss wins, I guess we can just return none. Oh, we can skip it. Continue. And then here, if that's one space, right? If nothing was saved, then we're going to return none. Else, we have the saved state, and that's what we return, saying that's our best one. Return some state. Does that look good? That looks pretty straightforward. I think that's all we need to do. Am I missing something? Probably. Because that's how I work. Okay. Let's try it. So how do we get the list of valid moves to make? We say moves is equal to self moves. That was easy. And that will tell us all the moves we can do. In fact, we can just say this. for move in self moves. Oh, we can't use move for spell in self moves. Okay. We're going to make the move. So that means let our move state is equal to self dot cast. Oh, we didn't test effects for casting, did we? And that's right. We also want to make this an option self. So what I'm going to do now is just say none. That should build. And we're not calling cheapest win anywhere, but that's okay, because what we're going to do now is we need to be able to cast all the spells, right? We want to not just do a clone, but if this is a duration, then we need to add it to our effects. So let's test that. So test this. Can cast poison. So we'll have a game state like this. And then poison is what, number 2? 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we're going to say let next state is equal to state.cast spells of 3. And now we have to be able to assert EQ that actually all of these things, right? These should all be true. Except for instead of spells 1, spells 2, sorry, 3. 3, 3. This should be 1 and this should be 3. And that should fail because we're not adding that entry there. Interesting. All of these things passed, which made sense, but this thing failed. Okay. And so we can actually check that state, right? Assert EQ next state effects of 0 dot. What is poison again? It's 3 on the damage. We can just check to make sure the damage is there. Okay, so now to cast poison, we need to clone this thing here. So, okay, so if let effects equals self effects clone, if spell dot duration is greater than 0, effects dot push spell dot clone. And then this should just be effects. Let's see if that passes the test. We have a warning. Cheapest win is not used. Okay, so let's write a cheapest win test. Test. Oh, that's gonna be hard. Cheapest win. Well, we should be able to give it like 0 mana and have it return none, right? If we start a game that with 0 mana, then there should be no moves, nothing was saved, and we should return none without mana. No cheapest one without mana. So we can just say assert equals game state new 101308 dot cheapest win is none. Can we do that? That passes. Okay. And that's going to continue to remain true throughout. All right, so what do we have here before? We had 4 spell in self moves. We're going to need a result. Let mut best so far is equal to none. and then we just return best so far. We're going to make the move. So let's say let move state is equal to self.cast spell. Is this an ampersand? It is not. If I do that, it's making an ampersand. It does. Okay, so now that's an ampersand. Good. And then we can check to see if the player wins. And the way we check, is it 0 or less? First character at or below 0 hit points loses. Okay, so we can say if player wins, which is boss move state boss HP. Oops. Sorry about that. If move state.boss HP is less than or equal to 0, then we have a win. So we can say if best so far. Oh, let sum best equal to best so far. I don't know if that's going to work because if best dot spent is less than move state dot spent, best so far is equal to sum move state. Will that build? No. Consider giving it a specific type. Okay. Game state. Option game state. And what's the error here? Value is moved. Oh, okay. So I have to do that. Yeah. Okay, so that works. If the player didn't win, else if move state, so if the boss wins, dot player HP is less than or equal to 0. I'm going to continue. Otherwise, we're going to recurse. So neither boss won on this turn nor the player won on this turn. So we now have to ask our game state for the next best one. Let cheapest equal to, oh, I said new state here. That should be move state. Move state dot cheapest win, like that. If cheapest dot, if let sum cheapest, so this is the same code, is equal to cheapest if cheapest dot spent is less than, no, best, oh right, we have to pull this out. Else if let sum cheapest is equal to move save cheapest win. Okay, so then we have something, and then we can just use the same logic here. And maybe there's a way to clean this up. Best is less than cheapest. And then we do that. And then we return best so far. That should be the whole thing. Who knows if that works. I'm going to quit out of this because I don't want to, if this ends up being an infinite loop, that would be very painful for us. For part 1, what was the, so it's 58 and 9 for hit points and damage. So we say let starting state is equal to game state new. It was 58 and 9. What were the other two values? It was, we start with how many hit points? We start with 50 hit points and 500 mana points. Okay, so player HP is 50, boss HP is 58, mana is 500, and damage is 9. And then we want to just say println debug out starting state dot cheapest win. And if this works, I will be in shock. Oh, right. It has to, we need to create, output this. Oh. Let's do that and then just create output. Nope. Okay. So if I say cargo run, we got a none. So obviously this is failing. And now we have the fun world of debugging. Let's get rid of all these comments. Because obviously that didn't help. So I guess what we can do is just say println best so far is best so far. And this is going to be the a leaf. And then this is going to be branch. Let's see if we get anything. This might generate a lot of output. Let's find out. Nothing. So it didn't find anything. So that's fun. Let's see if we're casting any spells. Println. Oh, this is where I'd want to have the name of the spell in here, right? Name is going to be static stir. That way I can print out the spell name. Magic missile. Okay. And then, what's this one? This is drain. This is shield. This is damage, poison. And then this is recharge. Okay, so then I should be able to print out each spell as we try to cast it, right? Println casting spell. All right, let's try again. All right, so, and unfortunately, because of the way backtracking works, is this is not happening sequentially. But we are casting things, and we should be able to say what the game state is and how much mana was spent on each new state. That's interesting. So we're able to do a bunch of stuff. We're just not able to find an end state which actually has a winning move for the player. Should we? Yeah. So what I'll do is just comment this. Where's part 1? There. I'll comment this starting state out and put it in the starting state that we have, and then maybe what we can do is take a look at as it generates options. How many different? Oh, that's a lot. $3,261 different spells were cast, and it didn't find any states where the player wins. So let's do this. because this should be shorter, right? We have 10, 250, 13, and 8. So we have 10 hit points for the player, 250, only 13 hit points there, and then 8 damage. And hopefully that'll be shorter. Oh, I took out the print, didn't I? Let's see. Yeah, there's only 49. So that should go faster to debug. Okay. So let's see each of these states, and what we can do is we can add one more thing to the game state is just call it turn. And turn starts at 0. And that way we can see, because we'll see turn go up and down as we work our way through the different tree states, or the different states in the tree of possibilities. So start turn. Oh, I was never calling start turn. Well, that's a good reason. So at the beginning, so for the cheapest win, the first thing we need to do is start the turn. Before we do any move, we have to start the turn and then check again to see if the player wins or the boss wins, right? Because the player, well, the boss can't win at the beginning of a turn, but the player can, because the effects apply at the start of both players' turns and bosses' turns. Oh, and I'm casting each time. I'm not doing a boss turn. Ah, okay. So I have to say the next move state is going to depend on whether or not it's a player turn or a boss turn. Okay, so let start turn is equal to self dot start turn. Before we do anything, and then we have to check to see did we win. If turn dot boss HP is less than or equal to 0, then best so far, I guess, is equal to turn. And it can't get cheaper by casting spells, so we can just return that, right? We can just return some turn. And now we don't want to say self-cast. We're going to say turn cast spell. And when we cast a spell, then we increment the turn counter. Oh, right. We have to flip back and forth. We have to say, are we doing a boss turn or a... So we can say if turn dot turn mod 2 is equal to 0, then it's the player's turn. Else turn dot boss. Oh, yeah. Boss move. And then we have to write boss move, semicolon. Boss move should be simple. Of course, there's all these things in here. Let boss is equal to self-clone. The boss will always hit for 1 damage, so player boss dot player HP minus equals 1 dot max of self dot damage minus self dot armor. And then we just return boss. And then we can check this stuff. And we do want to increment the turn counter, otherwise we'll do this every single time. So we have to say, we don't want to increment it here because the player goes first. Oh, okay, we can just increment it here. Yeah, that's fine. We just change that to 1. And then at start turn, we just increment turn, self turn plus 1. All right, let's see what doesn't build. What do I do? Oh, I missed a comma there. And then this needs turns. So we're casting a spell. Casting a spell doesn't spend a turn, because the turn was already accounted for at the start of turn code. Oh, this issue. Why can't I do this? That's annoying. Self, because we're cloning the reference, but I want to create a... can I do that? Nope. Move occurs because it does not implement. Okay. Self. Where else do we have it here? Let's just grab this. There we go. Put that there. And we just, the boss move doesn't change this. Boss move does not change the HP. All we're doing is changing the player HP this way. Oh, yeah, so self.player HP minus that. Put a comma there. All the other things remain the same. And I messed something up. Oh, minus. There. Oh, we're down to 2 warnings. Now if I do this, what happens? Now it's an infinite loop. Yeah. Infinite loop. Okay, why? I guess, Right, that was the other thing I wanted to say. Okay, we have to be able to cap it. Otherwise, we'll just sit there spinning forever. So we have to put a max in here, which is I32. And then we have to say if spell dot cost plus self.spent is greater than or equal to max, continue. And then we have to be able to save max each time. So here, when we recurse, we want to pass in the best so far if one exists. Otherwise, we pass in max. And the problem is best so far, it's not easy to... Oh, we can just say unwrap or, right? We can do this. Cheapest win of best so far dot unwrap or max. But I had to say dot cost, and that doesn't work. Okay. So I guess at the top here we can say max let sum best so far is equal to best so far, and we can say if best dot spent is less than max, max equals best dot spent, and we can always just pass in max, and I just change this to a mut. And then pass it in here. That work? And I missed, oh, cheapest win, so now I have to say I32 max. Okay. We're not using the string, the names. That's true. And we can fix that with an underscore. That's just for debugging output. Oh. Okay. Okay, cargo run, less. Nope. All right. Yeah. See, I was worried that this would be a double stream issue thing here. Okay. So we're printing out. Let's just go here. And do I have turn in here? Oh, this is just saying what we're casting, and it's not showing what the turn looks like. So we need to print out each turn. So at the start of turn, we can print out our current turn and see what that looks like. Let turn is equal to this, and then we'll just print it. Println start turn, and then just say turn like that, and just say turn like that. Okay, and then we can look at it here. All right, so we have turn 1. We're casting a spell. Turn 2. Oh, we should print out what the result of the boss move here. Can we do that? Let boss is equal to this. And println boss move. Boss. Boss. Okay. Let me make this wider. We can see what's going on. So, casting spell magic missile. And then we have another start turn. Boss move. Okay. So player HP goes from 10 to 2. What was the winning play for this? The first thing the player has to cast is poison. So let's see if we see a poison in here for on turn 1. Right, because here's start turn 1. We have to be able to backtrack to that. That's on turn 6. Casting spell on turn 6 again. Turn 1. Oops, I guess we don't want to do that. We say turn 1, comma. So here's the magic missile for turn 1. Oh. This is interesting. So it's not finishing. I thought, oh no, it's infinite looping again still. Okay. All right, so that's the thing to fix now, is to try to figure out how to get this to avoid looping forever. And that's what I was hoping that this max thing would do. Was I saying, okay, we found some solution. Maybe what we can do is just limit it to, for now, since we know this ends in 4 turns, let's limit it to 10 turns. So we can just say if turn dot turn is greater than 10, return none. We'll just limit it to those 10 turns and see what happens. That built, right? Yeah, so that's only 60,000 turns to look at, or 60,000 lines, sorry. So if we do that, we should be able to see turn 1, comma, and we don't. Oh, that's right. That's right, because what's happening is we're doing a start of turn for turn 1, and then we try all the spells. So what we need to do for casting spells is say what turn we're casting the spell on. That way we can actually see. Casting spell, turn blah spell. And I'll just say the name of the spell because we don't need all of that output. Self dot turn spell dot name. Okay, that should make the output a little bit easier to read. Casting turn 1 spell magic missile. So if I say turn 1 spell drain. Shield, poison. Okay, so this is the one that's supposed to work, right? Where we have 4 turns. So the player turn, here's the start of the, no, that's not the start. Casting turn 1 spell poison. So the player should have 10 hit points, 0 armor, and 250 mana. So we have 10 hit points, we have 77 mana, but that's because we just cast poison. Boss has 7 hit points. Oh, what we're doing is we're casting it and hitting the boss immediately. The boss has 13 hit points here. Even though the player cast poison, we don't take that into effect. Oh. Poison deals 3 damage, its timer is now 5. Yeah, okay, let me put the game log on here. Maybe we'll be able to see. That's going to be a little bit more work, but I think it'll be worth it.